Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Squadron Leader Sally Folkes. We warmly welcome the family of Private James John Corrigan, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, all beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains that let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed at the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private James John Corrigan. James Corrigan was born around 1893, the only son among 5 children born to James and Julia Corrigan of Quambatook, Northern Victoria. Corrigan's parents died when he was quite young, and he and his younger sister, Frances May, grew up together in the care of their uncle, Patrick Barnes, a hotel keeper in Chilingala, to the north of Quambatook. Known as Jim to his family and friends, James Corrigan attended the local state school and later worked as a labourer and share farmer in the area. He was described as a sturdy young fellow who took an active part in sport, playing a sterling game of football, and with a withal quiet and unassuming in a manner which won the esteem of everyone in the district. Corrigan volunteered to serve in the Australian Imperial Force on the 2nd of August 1915. He did not formally enlist and begin his training, however, until January 1916. One source indicates that he did this because he did not want to leave town until he had fulfilled his obligations and helped out with the harvest. After enlisting, he underwent a period of training, and on the 14th of March sailed from Melbourne for service overseas with the reinforcements for the 14th Infantry Battalion. He arrived in Egypt in April, too late to take part in the Gallipoli campaign, but was present for a period known as the doubling of the AIF, when new recruits were mixed with Gallipoli veterans in new and expanding Australian units. Corrigan was posted in the 4th Australian Training Battalion as he waited to join a unit. On the 7th of June 1916, he sailed from Alexandria in Egypt for France, arriving a week later. Once there, he transferred to northern France and on the 21st of July joined the 46th Battalion, which formed part of the 12th Brigade of the 4th Australian Division. Corrigan first joined his unit as they were training behind the lines at Bertocourt near the River Somme. In late July and early August, Corrigan and the 46th Battalion moved from Bertocourt westwards to Albert. They were moving towards a sector of the Western Front near the village of Pozières, where Australians had been involved in desperate fighting with German forces and suffered thousands of casualties. Corrigan and the 46th Battalion first became involved in the battle by providing support to the 2nd Division. This was vital work as they carried supplies and ammunition to the desperately fighting frontline troops. On the 8th of August, Corrigan and the 46th Battalion for the first time took up frontline duties by defending a sector of the trenches near Pozières with the 12th Brigade. Corrigan's unit formed part of the right flank of this defence. On the 9th of August 1916, the day after moving into frontline duties for the first time, Corrigan was reported to have been killed in action. The exact nature of his death is unknown, but it is likely that he was killed by German high-explosive artillery fire. He was 23 years old. His family back home in Australia was devastated by the loss of their dearly loved brother and nephew. His younger sister, Frances May, chose an epitaph for his grave that read, "If we had known when last we lightly parted, that during life our hands would clasp no more, that each who said farewell so cheerful-hearted would find the grief the future held in store." Sadly, this message was too long for a standard headstone, and a shorter one was never placed on his grave. For the rest of her life, Frances always referred to him as Poor Jim. Today, his remains lie buried in the Pozières British cemetery Orvières-la-Boisselle in France, where nearly 1,400 casualties of the First World War now lie. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private James John Corrigan, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We'd like to thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.